Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of PRI Talk. I am Jason, as always, with you guys here on the YouTube and on the podcast. So if you enjoy hearing my voice on the podcast and you would like to see more of me say the exact same things that I say on the podcast, but on YouTube, make sure to go check me out on YouTube and on my website as well, privolleyball.com, blog, all the YouTube stuff. You can find it on there. So I do want to get into, and I'm laughing a little bit because I think this all these exchanges are a little bit amusing, and I'm doing all this without any notes, going off the cuff just a little bit here, but hopefully it'll be helpful. So I had kind of some back and forth exchanges yesterday. None of them bad, all really positive things. But it all started with, and what we're talking about today, well, I'll get into it here in a little bit, all started with an email that I got from a college coach. And a little bit of a mass email, not terribly mass email. I know they're sending it out to a few different athletes, but they're not sending it out to everyone. But I did get a couple of them. And, and in the email, it says, "We haven't heard from so-and-so in a while. Could you think you could have them reach out? We would love to hear from them. We'd love to see new film. We'd love to just hear from them," right? That's basically what they're saying. They're saying, we haven't heard from this athlete in a while. They haven't reached out via email, anything, email, text, like nothing. We would love to hear from them, right? So this is a school that's trying to touch base with some athletes in the 2025 class, okay? And this is a Division I school. Top 25-ish school, I think, at the moment. Just trying to connect with some athletes that maybe they haven't heard from in a while. Again, this kind of goes back to this idea where you are getting recruited all year long, right? These coaches want to know who's really interested, who's top of the list interested, who maybe is only sort of interested. And if you've got a lot of athletes reaching out to if I have 10 athletes and 5 of them are reaching out consistently and the other 5 aren't really, then every once in a while I'm going to check in and just make sure those athletes are interested, right? This happened a while ago. Had an exchange with a college coach that was, we've sent this, and this to an athlete, an email, and whatever else. There's links on there that they can click on and give us their information, fill out the questionnaire, whatever, through the system that we have, and we can track everything that they've clicked on and everything they do. And she hasn't done anything of it, right? So is she still interested in us, right? So coaches are always trying to figure out the interested part. This isn't necessarily a talk on interest, but that's a big one for me if you ever listened to my stuff for a while. So I get this email from a college coach, and so I post this story here. I'll share it here in a second, so you can see it on the screen. I'm starting to get all tech savvy. If you're listening on the podcast, I apologize, you can't see it, but I'll read it for you. So I post this on Facebook and Instagram, and it says, "Yes, it's high school season. Yes, college coaches are busy. Yes, they still want you to email them." Okay, and this is just basically the info that I had gotten from this college coach. Yes, it's high school season. I understand you're busy as an athlete. College coaches are busy. Totally get that. But yes, they still want you to email. So one of the things right away, parents and athletes will tell me, well, it's fall and coaches are busy and they're not responding because they're busy. And that might be true. I would love it if college coaches respond to 100% of the emails that I send them any time of year. That just isn't the case, right? So they are busy, but that doesn't mean necessarily they don't want to hear from you at all, right? Just because they're busy and they might not respond right away, if they can respond, it doesn't mean that they don't want to hear from you. They do want to hear from you, all right? So I posted that on Facebook and Instagram. Some likes, some couple comments, things like that. But had a kind of a DM message with someone else. They screenshotted my picture, which is their kind of philosophy they agree with, and then they screenshotted something else to me. And this something else was from someone who is saying, not even halfway, but is saying emails are irrelevant. You don't need to send emails anymore. If you want to market yourself, and they use that word market. If you want to market yourself in the recruiting process, you need to start using social media. And so this person is saying emails are outdated, unnecessary. College coaches aren't using emails anymore. You need to use social media and market yourself over social media if you want to quote unquote stand out and if you want to quote unquote get recruited. Okay. I 100% disagree with this philosophy. Okay. And for several reasons. And it's not just about the email piece, the email and the social media piece. I have my kind of viewpoint about social media. I disagree with this philosophy 100% because it is a very passive way to go about your recruiting process. Okay. And if you've known me over the last 5 years, or you know me in general, I'm not a very passive person. Okay. When I started PRI almost 5 years ago, what I wanted to do was change the process, right? I talked to too many parents, too many club coaches, right? That really were, well, if coaches come up, then I talk to them. Athletes were like, if coaches find me, then I'll send them an email, right? It was very reactive to the recruiting process. It was very passive. It was like, if I play open, then coaches will find me. That was what so many families were hoping on and betting on. And one of the reasons that I started doing this was to combat that kind of philosophy and that idea about the recruiting process. And this way of thinking, this idea of where you can just market yourself on social media, where you just post film and the offers will come rolling in, or the coaches that are interested in you will just come rolling in. They'll just happen to see you on social media, right? Like that's what you're planning on. You're planning on your highlight film that's 15 seconds long, getting viewed a couple thousand times, and that one of those coaches or one of those people, right, might not even be college coaches, one of those people might be a college coach. And they might like your film, and it might just happen to connect with the schools that you're interested in, and that's how you're going to get recruited. Now, I'll be honest, can that happen? Yes. I'm not going to shy away from admitting that crazier things have happened in the recruiting world, like my story about the coach going to the bathroom on court 119 at Lone Star way back in the corner, was talking to an alumni and just happened to go to the bathroom over there, walked by a court, saw this athlete that was getting recruited by a bunch of other schools. They were mid-major Division I schools, but this was a Power 5 school in the state, and he just happened to walk by the bathroom and happened to watch her hit a ball and went, who's that kid? Why don't I know about them? And then she ended up playing there, transferred somewhere else after a couple years, I think. But does that kind of crazy stuff happen? 100%. It does. Do I think that you should hope and pray and wish that that is how your recruiting process goes? No. I think you can take way more control over your recruiting process. I think that you can be way more proactive, that you can focus on the schools and the places where you want to play volleyball and initiate contact and conversations with those places. Okay. Posting something on social media and just hoping that one of the coaches that you want notices it, okay, is the same as, I'm not going to email anyone. I'm just going and tell them to come watch me. I'm just going to go to a qualifier and hope that they come find me. It's the same mentality. Okay. It's very passive, and I'm always trying to push past that. Right. Is social media bad when it comes to recruiting? No. I had a back and forth with an athlete just the other day. We were talking, should I post this on Twitter? What should I say? Blah, blah, blah. Going back and forth about her posting a quick highlight thing on Twitter. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. You can certainly do that. My hesitation and my fear in that kind of idea is I'm just going to post it and then sit back and hope things happen. Right. And that's not what we want to happen, right? That's not you taking control of your recruiting process, okay? I say very often that recruiting is a journey, okay? It's a journey that you go through. It's a process that you go through, okay? If you want to take a journey somewhere, if you want to go see Hawaii, if you want to go see the Alps or whatever you want to go see, okay? You have to go there to see it. I can see a picture of it and whatever, but I can't just sit back and say, okay, I wanna travel to France, and just sit back and France isn't gonna come to you, right? The jet's not gonna swing by your house and pick you up on its way to Europe, right? That's not how journeys work. So if you really want to be in control of your process, and not just kind of, well, whatever happens, then be proactive about it. If you're okay with, well, I'm just going to post some film and see what happens and not try to connect with coaches, not engage with coaches. If you want to do that, that's fine. I don't encourage anyone to do that though, because then you're left with whatever you're left with, which sometimes is nothing. Sometimes you get something, but sometimes you're left with nothing. So again, social media isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just think you should use it from the perspective, knowing that this is just a piece of what I'm doing. Okay. Social media can certainly be a recruiting tool. I know an athlete this last year that sent a ton of stuff to schools and college coaches throughout the club season over social media. She did. She sent a ton of, like, here's my new highlight, here's a whatever. She sent a bunch of stuff over social media to college coaches. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Nothing at all, right? She was being pretty active in her process, right? I did not get the feeling that she was just sitting back and letting things happen. She was trying to engage and trying to communicate with college coaches. So social media is a tool just like anything else, okay? It's just like NCSA. It's just like, what's the other one that I talk about all the time? Sports recruits. It's just like a sports recruits. It's just like any of those tools that you can have in recruiting. They're not bad in and of themselves. They can be really, really good tools. But like I wrote about this about a year ago, tools are fantastic as long as you know how to use them and you actually use them, right? Tools are necessary in a lot of ways to doing something like build a house. You got to have tools to build a house, right? But the hammer doesn't do me any good if I don't know how to use it, or if I don't know how to build a house. If I don't know what the house looks like, if I don't know that I have to, lay a foundation first and then do all these different things, right? I don't know how to build a house. I'm not going to pretend to. But I know I need more than a hammer, right? And that was what I wrote about. So yes, you can use things like social media. Go for it. Yes, you can use things like the NCSAs and the sports recruits and things like that. But just remember that they're tools, okay? And using them is just a piece of what you need to be doing, right? They're not bad in and of themselves, but you have to use them under the right context and understanding what you're actually trying to do and what their limits are. Because social media has limits, right? At some point, you got to get on the phone and you got to talk to these college coaches. At some point, you're going to have to communicate your personality and things like that. So parents always ask me, should we get a social media account to do recruiting? If you want, that's fine. You can certainly post, you can create a, whatever your name is, volleyball, whatever your class is, and create a separate social media account if you want. I encourage athletes. I don't think most athletes that I kind of see on Instagram, they don't post enough to really make a huge difference, to really separate a volleyball account and personal account. So I encourage, just post your volleyball stuff on your personal account. I don't think you need to make something separate. Now, if you're doing a ton of interaction and posting and stuff like that, then sure, make another one if you really want to. I think it's more hassle than it's worth creating a second social media account, but have one. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Definitely use it to your advantage. Social media can be good. Just understand what you're getting and what you're not getting. Okay. Schools that follow you, what does that mean? I don't know. It might mean something. It might mean also absolutely nothing. It might be the assistant SID has control over their Instagram account or their Twitter account, and so they're just following whenever they see a volleyball on a picture, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't necessarily mean always what you think it means. Okay. So getting followed on social media, again, it's great. Getting liked on social media, it's great. I don't know necessarily if it always communicates something. Sometimes it does. Sometimes coaches that are interested in athletes will, make sure they like posts and make sure they like videos and make sure they follow the athletes. Okay, some of them might do that. Not all of them will. An athlete that just recently committed to a school was on social media, posting stuff on social media, following the college. After she committed, the coach followed her, and then the rest of the team started following her. Nothing was done beforehand, right? I'm always cautious about the social media piece. Can you do things on there? Yes. Whatever you're doing, social media, if you're using NCSA, which I plead with you, don't reach out to me before you pay for NCSA, please. That's what I tell everyone. Using NCSA, using a tool like Sports Recruits, use them. They're fine. Just understand they're not doing the recruiting for you. Okay. You still must be proactive in your process. And that's one of the things that I'm constantly trying to talk about with families and athletes, that you be in charge of your recruiting process. You be at the front of your recruiting process. You send emails, you reach out to schools, you engage with them. Okay. If you want to engage through social media, engage through social media. You want to engage through University Athlete, which also has some good tools, to it. Engage with coaches through through University Athlete, social media, emails. I'm a big email person. Grind out the emails, send them. It's a really easy way for college coaches to communicate. And so I do a ton of emails. I encourage athletes to do a bunch of emails. I think that is a really, really good way to engage with college coaches. I think probably you're going to get more connections and more hits doing emails than you are doing anything else, potentially. But that is my philosophy. So when it comes to all of this, okay, I guess in the grand scheme of things, what I'm trying to communicate to everyone out there is, don't be passive, okay? Be proactive. However you are choosing to do your recruiting, sit back and look and go, am I waiting for things to happen, or am I on the aggressive side? Am I being proactive about my process? Am I reaching out to a targeted list of schools that are going to be a good fit for me, both athletically and academically? Am I doing that? And am I doing it again and then again, right? And that consistent communication piece. Or am I just sending out one mass email to 100 schools because I know that they play football on Saturday afternoons, and am I waiting for stuff to happen? Okay. Be on the proactive side. I think the more athletes engage with their own process, the better they feel about their process. The more that they let their parents or let some tool like NCSA do their recruiting for them, or even on social media to some extent, right? I didn't even say something that I wanted to about that piece, but I'll skip it. Are you sitting back and just hoping things happen? Okay. There's a difference there. So whatever you're going to do, take a little bit of time and go, which am I being passive or am I being proactive about my recruiting process and my recruiting journey? And I hope that you make the choice to be proactive. And if you need help with that, you can always reach out to me on my website, privolleyball.com. You can reach out to me over Instagram or anywhere else that you see my stuff. Thank you guys for listening. As always, I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next time.